Hey everybody, hope everybody is well today. I'm gonna get started here pretty soon. Sorry for the late stream.
Your mic didn't kick in right away.
Oh, it didn't? Apparently I'm
now.
being informed that my mic did not kick in right away. But hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. Sorry for the late start today. And if some people can't make it, it's totally understandable. I had to take my son to the dentist and they were delayed an entire hour. So yeah, had to take care of business there. But yeah, hope everybody is doing good. I'm just now finally getting over being sick. Took me a little bit. That one kicked my butt, so to speak. So hey, Street Blessed Pythons, good evening to you as well. Don't want to start just this second. I'm gonna wait a few moments. I've got a few things here trying to get together. I don't have a whole heck of a bunch right now today, so it's gonna be a little bit of a quicker one. With that said, I always say that and then just kind of end up talking and whatnot. So but yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and flip it on and see where it takes us. I always have trouble with this part. There we go. There's about 7 or so, six pages of them. I always expect it to kind of go down during this time of year. It makes sense, right? It's harder to buy and ship during this time of year. Not just because of the cold. Honestly, the cold is not something I'm ever personally worried about. It's the shipping itself. I mean, heck, we have enough stories that we just noticed today with shipping. It's crazy. I mean, take a look at your FedEx guy, your UPS guy, your Amazon delivery people, and tell me how on top of their game they are this time of year. They're very overwhelmed. So that's always my worry when I'm shipping is that. So with that said, we actually got two in today. I was at work, so my brother went and got them. Nothing off the wall or crazy, but we got a something for our Monarch project from MSB Reptiles. So very happy to bring a new bloodline in for Monarch as I'm growing that. And then we also got a Red Gene Pied Het Lavender albino as well. So basically, going for some of the dreamsicle things I have right now. I really only have one girl that's for dreamsicle, and I thought, why not bolster that a little bit and give it a little bit of an oomph. So the phone from MSB Reptiles, I got off of Morphmarket Auctions, as I often do. But the other one, the redhead pied, or not the redhead, I'm sorry, the Red Gene pied Het Lav, I got off of Palm Street, which is something I've been exploring and plan to actually make a video about. So no, it's hi there, Alfonso, by the way. But that is a female. They're both females. So the one is for my Monarch project I got from MSB Reptiles. I'm very happy to bring in another bloodline, and a great one, a solid one. MSB is actually they bought out the entire collection of the OG Monarchs. So yeah, that's the person who founded the gene. They bought the whole collection when they got out of the hobby. So yeah, that's what I've got from there. Everything else I had from Tom Harbing mostly, and then 2 of them from Best Dressed Balls. That was a whole Monarch project, so now I added that. The female, the other one, I didn't even say their name. It's from Aura Reptiles. I got that off Palm Street, and it's a female Red Gene Pied Het Lavender. Cool, gorgeous looking. We seriously need to stop being lazy and get a webcam. That way we can show this stuff on live. Maybe we'll get one for Christmas. Alrighty, but alright, I think we're gonna go ahead and start with the actual auction itself here. So like I said, there's not a whole bunch, and I don't have a whole heck of a lot to highlight today, but there are some good looking ones. And then I wanted to call out one that's not an auction near the endish, I think. Yeah, we'll do that. So hold or you know, maybe I'll do it in the middle. So we'll see. The first one, this one would be ending here in 2 hours. There is a reserve price though, so I don't know for sure if it'll make it. But it's a black pastel leopard clown female. Really gorgeous, absolutely awesome looking animal. Its head is out of focus, but that doesn't matter. The oranges and the burnt kind of colors on this, very crisp with some little bit of rustiness on the dorsal coming through. And that's really all thanks to the black pastel. The leopard just kind of is what jumbles everything up and brings a lot in. There's a lot you could go with this. You could either go if you put a spot nose to this, you could go that Batman route, make some really cool Batmans. You could kind of go in a totally different direction. There's not much that doesn't work good with clown. So, you know, being a female, I don't know what the reserve price would be. Again, they were not privy to that, you know. So it's really just if you know, if you beat that. So let's just say, I mean, the reserve price might be pretty soon, honestly. But you know, if you wanted to say spend, if your cap was about like $500 or something like that, don't just bid 500. Bid it up in little increments. So maybe do 380 here and then 400. Maybe it stops at 400. Wouldn't you feel silly if you wasted a whole $100? So bid it up in little increments until you reach your plateau, and then stop. And then even if you won, quote unquote, it nulls and voids the entire auction if the reserve price wasn't met. So only bid to where you're comfortable and leave it at that. That's how I recommend doing them. So next up would be this pastel sunset boy here, and it's an auction and there's no reserve. It's got little less than a day as of right now. So if you wanted to get a sunset boy for a bit cheaper, this would be possibly a really good one to go for. We saw one for sale for $850 at Tinley. It was the only one I saw that price. Most of the other ones were around, I think, the $1,200. God bless you, Johnny. Most of the other ones were about like $1,200, the males, I think, if I had to guess. Yeah, if you know, if you can get it for even close to that $850, that was a steal there. It'd be a steal here too, no doubt, and it's from Brock Wagner too. You know, he's got some of the best sunset stuff, no doubt. So it'd be a nice boy to, you know, if you want to start the project, a boy I think is a good way to go if you're on kind of on a budget, because you're going to breed your hets. Yeah, if that's the way you want to go. If you're just trying to create more sunsets, well, eventually that's going to be you know, and as you create more sunsets, think about this: the more there are, the more the demand goes down. So you know, try to add some spice to it, so to speak. So kind of creating your own hets, you know, whether you're trying to create more double hets or triple hets, or just add more genetics to it. So there's a lot of great ways with sunset that you can go, which I'll get into here in a bit, because that's not the only one I want to talk about. There's also this female that's 100% het sunset and possible extreme gene. And extreme gene, if it's in there, is a enhancer type gene. It's something that it's one of those subtle type genes that by itself, you know, you might not really think too much, but when it's with a lot of other stuff, I mean, it really pops for sure. This one looks like it was shed tested to prove that it was sunset, so that's nice. Just a really good girl. It's this one, if you notice, these are not in order, by the way. Most of them will be, but these are not all in order. This one's got 70 hours left, so it's at the peak. It was just placed, I think, as we were kind of starting, and I just kind of tried to group them together, the sunsets anyways. So I don't know what this one will go for. Being a girl, they do go for a little bit more than, you know, a boy at sunset would go for, but I would not be surprised in the least. In fact, I'd be surprised if it did go over the cost of that visual male. It's going to stay in a very reasonable area, I think. In fact, the fact that they started at 180 means to them that's the least they'll let it go for. That's, you know, that's kind of a cool thing to see. I like when they do that, but I understand reserves. It's just nice to know that you know, it's very likely going to sell. So pretty cool. Next up, another girl here, same breeder, by the way. So if you wanted to combine on shipping, you know, at $40 there, which is already a nice price anyways, that you could get both, right? And they both went up, it looks like, around the same time. It looks like this one has a like eight less hours or so. And it's a butterhead sunset. So this girl here would have that going for her too. And butter, by the way, it's the same thing as lesser. Just to let you know. So looks like that one was tested as well for hit sunset. Shows you the pairing there originally. So if they weren't hitting, they were 66%. But once they come back with that test, you can be for sure. So I've done a few of those myself where I've gotten very happy to say the least to find out. Sending them into RGI. So very, very cool. And then I think this is our last visual sunset for the day.
Zoom it in.
What am I doing?
Zoom it.
Okay, zooming in. There we go. That better?
Probably.
Probably. Cool.
It's a bit delayed. Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it looks better.
Okay. All right. But yeah, here this is another one. He starts a lot higher, but there is no reserve. And it's still a really good price, especially since it's not just sunset. You have fire, which helps to lighten the animal up. You can see the difference here, even though it still is a really cool example of sunset. You can kind of see they're a lot darker, not as clean. But the fire and the yellow belly kind of tag team together to create these beautiful, look at this, burst of orange, which is where they really get their name for, in this kind of rusty undertone here. Having a male like this would be a really cool start, because you're not just messing with just sorry, I'm distracted. Alfonso, I'll get to that in a second. I will jump back to that girl here in a second, I promise. But he'd be a really good one to kind of start the whole project with. Having extra genes in your male. I always say have your males be the kind of the powerhouse. Now some of these like higher end, rare morphs, sunset's starting to become more reasonable. But still, I mean, $800, $900 when you can get it on a steel even is still pretty high. Let's face it. I think that that having the male though with as much genes as you can is beneficial, because he's going to breed to many females, right? So that's many more chances that you have to pass that genetic code along, so to speak. So but yeah, let's go back to the pastel one there from Brock Wagner, the boy. So its weight right now is 100 grams. So this one's still an itty bitty little hatchling. Free shipping, by the way, from Brock Wagner. I think he always offers that. So this one would be a really nice way to go as well. Seeing where this one ends too would be very interesting. I'm gonna try to, remember to take a look at this one around that time tomorrow. I always like just looking and whatnot, just to see. I love studying this auction stuff, kind of just looking at the business as a whole. It's I don't know, maybe it's boring to other people, but it's kind of fascinating to me to see, the market and whatnot and how it goes and stuff. So, but yeah, either one of these males would be really good. In general, it just depends on the pricing and whatnot. So, again, I'd be surprised to see this one stay for too long. I feel like it'll go for $900. I think it will. So. But yeah, just to kind of show you some of the cool potential that you can get with sunset. Like if you combine it with clown, this is a sunset clown with fire. Leopard kind of darkens them up, but still is pretty nice. You can see this one's got some good size to it. So the whole idea of a brownout of a ball pipe of the sunset. I mean, look at that one. I mean, you're getting close to a full-size male there. Sometimes they can get bigger. They can for sure get way bigger, in fact. But I have most of my males are about half the size of a female. So, the so-called brownout with the proper genetics in there, it's not a thing. So, and I once was concerned about that with sunset too. But yeah. By the way, this is the Desert Ghost sunset as it grew. A lot of people were concerned that the Desert Ghost sunset was not great when it was first born. But it really, I think it's aging quite well. I think so. I mean, it's very bright. So, Fonzo says Sunset Monarch. That would be interesting because they're both differently colored. I don't think a Sunset Monarch has been made. you know, a lot of those morphs. But it'd be very interesting to see what that would look like. There's no doubt. I feel like it would look good. I feel like the Monarch would keep it in control because it's got a little bit of cleaning. Or it's got. I always like to say, as am I saying, is that it's got like a bit of microdose of Desert Ghost in there or something like that. So it kind of cleans it up and whatnot. But yet itself has that deep, dark mahogany. So I feel like it might spread it to the, you know, the whole thing. Be interesting though. I'm sure at some point that bridge will be crossed. So be very interesting. That's for sure. Right now I'm trying to want to do the puzzles. I know it's been made now. Not very rarely. I think there's like 2 people who have hit the puzzle monarchs. But I got some other ideas I want to go with that that haven't been done. So I'm very excited that I successfully made a male and a female with some extra juicy little ingredients. So that'll be fun. So I feel like Sunset is something I will eventually get into though. Now that I feel like it, you know, I knew when I was kind of picking one. Sunset was on my radar, but I knew when I was picking like kind of a higher end gene, you know, I ended up going with Monarch, obviously. That Sunset was heavy and high, and it's why I originally decided against investing thousands into Desert Ghost, is because not because the gene itself is horrible by any means. It's actually amazing. It's one of the most amazing genetics ever in ball pythons, Desert Ghost, but I knew that train had come, and I was not on it. You know, and when everybody started pumping them out, you know, all those bridges were crossed. So eventually, I think, you know, for the longest time, I didn't think I'd get into Desert Ghost, but that's another one that I think I might, but just like kind of like subtly, if that makes sense. It'll be kind of along for the ride. So the Sunset might be somewhat similar, but a little bit more. So. But I think it would look cool. All right, next one from Designer Ball Pythons. We actually got a red stripe clown from them a while back. This should be her first year actually. But anyways, back to them. Be a group of 4 animals here. So looks like they all might be male though. I don't know. 2 pastel hidden gene Woma clowns. Both are possible. Red stripe clown. Yeah, all males. And then I'm assuming 2 the pastel clown then too. Yeah. So I think this will go for very cheap, considering they're all males. The point of this would be if you want to get a couple males in your collection, and then maybe a buddy does too. I think it'd be cool to go in with somebody and split them. You split the costs, and you split the snakes, so that way you have 2 grown-up breeders eventually. So especially if the red stripe can prove out, that would be pretty nice. Red stripe's a really nice gene, and like I said, we got a red stripe clown from them. So I believe the hidden gene Woma might try to cover that a little bit, but I've actually seen some cool stuff with hidden gene Woma lately. I know some people try to avoid it because it's part of the spider complex, but I disagree with that. I don't, even though I don't have it, I have enough skin in the game. I think that as long as you know what you're getting into, that you're good. And also, there's a lot of stuff in the spider gene complex that don't have any wobble, from the inner ear deformity. Like blackhead. Blackhead actually cures spider when it's put to its allelic, and it just looks like a normal snake. It's weird. And spot nose, same thing. So, but still really cool in the right situation. If you have, right now at $185, 75 shipping. Divide that by 2 if you're going to get in there with one buddy. And there you go. You got the basics of a starting breeding group. If you're going to have, like, say, 10 snakes, it's, maybe good to have 1 male at least for each 5 females, or 4, I should say. So, moving on. This one's pretty cool. I like this one a lot. And it's a good example, as to something I'll make a point to. But this one would be a blackhead pastel lesser clown. Pastel and lesser usually kind of create a very, very white snake, but the blackhead kind of reins it back in and creates this peachy animal with a very nice defined side. It's like kind of a little bit of a chainsaw type pattern in there, which is really cool. Blackhead is a dark gene, but instead of fighting and whatnot against little light jeans, it actually works well with it and creates great contrast. You wouldn't know it's a dark jean from looking at this, but the blackhead that I have right now is the brightest snake in my entire collection, bar literally zero. So something to think about. Blackhead's a really, really good jean. So this boy here would be a really nice first breeder, and I think it's very affordable too. Is it the highest end of things? No, but that blackhead being along for the ride is definitely beneficial. Lesser clowns are some of my favorite lesser clowns. I had a lesser clown once. If you watch the channel enough, you know I don't really want to talk about it. Again, though, from Designer Ball Pythons, for a good price, this is a really, it's beautiful anyways, but it's a really really nice pickup for a boy. The one thing when you're breeding this though to be careful about is to not put it to anything in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So no lesser, which is what it already is, bamboo, anything like that, unless you want to create all white snakes. So there's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful. But if you hit the clown, if you breed this to a lesser clown, for example, and you hit the clown version, well, you won't know because it'll be an all-white snake. So that's why I say try to avoid that. It's probably the only downside of it having lesser in the male, is that you need to just, I guess you don't have to, because it's not going to hurt the health of the snake, but you'd probably want to avoid that. Not that that's a huge thing. You just avoid blue-eyed leucistics genes, lesser bamboo, butter, which is the same thing anyways, Mojave, Mystic. I could go on, but you get the point. All right, moving along to this one-to-one puzzle project. So it's a boy and a girl, obviously. Whenever you see that 1.1, the first number is for males and the second number is for females. So had it said 0.2, it would have been two females, and had it said 1.0, it would have been two males. So this one's pretty much ready to go. If you want to get in on the puzzle project and start creating your own puzzles for probably a very a much less expensive price than you would be paying for a puzzle, a visual puzzle. Anyways, going head to head is not the most ideal thing because you're always getting 66% hits, but you can test for it now, so that's great. And you are getting a little bit of a bonus here. The boy has Mojave in it. You can tell right here it's very nice looking. So, and the female, why is it not letting me click on pictures here? Do this. There we go. There's the female. And there they are together. Future friends. Yes. But Mojave and puzzle look really nice too, by the way. And you could eventually hit your visual animals, and then you can move on from these ones. But right now, the price at $40 plus $60 shipping, you can't beat that. Again, not for everybody. If you're heavy into the game already, maybe not. But if you are kind of wanting to start, but you want to create cool things, don't let anybody tell you can't create cool things. It just might take a little bit more. Your odds won't be as good. Let's just put it that way. But when you do hit it, it'll be all the sweeter. It's still a really cool project. I like puzzle quite a bit. Again, I put in it to Monarch for a reason. It's one of the first things I thought about when I wanted to create something kind of cool and unique and go in a certain direction. Was that and the ones I've seen that have been created, I'm very excited about. So, hi there, Picture Perfect Pythons. Hope you are well today. And if anybody's got any questions, just throw them in the chat. I'm used to being to having a lot coming my way, so I do not mind. I'm happy to have conversations with everybody. So, alrighty, moving right along. Now this one has that's its starting reserve price. This one's starting pretty heavy, but it is a black pewter Wookiee, yellow belly clown, and black pewter is black pastel and pastel. This is pretty close to what you would call the Kraken. So I thought I had that up here. So did I skip something? No, I didn't. What the heck is it? Oh, I got it back there. That's okay. We'll look at it here in a bit. But Wookiee is a key ingredient, I guess, is what I'm saying, of the Kraken. Wookiee and Clown, that is. So, but we'll get into that later because I'm going to talk about it more than I should have probably framed them together, I suppose. But hindsight is 2020. Very, very nice, cool looking animal. At that price, I get that not a lot of people may be able to get on it. I don't know why Morphmarket won't let me click on things today. I have to go into the picture, but maybe that's better for you because you can see it better. Still a very cool, nice animal. I'd like to see it a little bit more dark, but that's, you know, obviously getting that pastel out of there, I think. So, cool boy. Very, very, very powerful. So, morphin time. If you found out that your ball python had Rhyno, what would you do? That is a dirty word in this business. But it is a word I think that people need to talk about more often and be honest about. Rhyno is not as... It's scary. It's very scary. But it's not as, you know, there's a whole thing I could say about that. It's not as it's not a death sentence. Let's put it that way. Is it very, very bad? Yes, it is. And is there a decently high chance that something bad's going to happen? Yes, there is. But you can only treat the symptoms, and that's what you need to do. I'm not an expert by any means, but darn it, what's his name? He did pack racks. He was at the Tinley shows, and he had these racks. I haven't seen him in a little while, actually. But he had this, and he documented his entire experience with Rhyno. And it's a really fascinating watch. I recommend you look it up. I'll try and look it up here. But he had created a quarantine unit, and that's what I would immediately do, is quarantine any snakes with symptoms or any snakes that were exposed to snakes with symptoms immediately. And try to get them through it. A snake with Rhyno is going to carry it's going to carry it its whole life. Think of it like a chronic disease that we have, like the HIV virus or something like that. If humans get it, you carry it for life. And this, unfortunately, unlike HIV, we're not to a point with ball pythons that we can properly treat the symptoms so that it's practically not it's non-existent to this point. I'm going to try to find that guy's channel though, but basically he said that as they beat them, that they would be fine if it beat the odds. And I think he said it was about a 30 to 40% chance that they would pass. So I think pass away, that is. So the odds I think were slightly better that they wouldn't. And then their babies wouldn't. So he created a breeding colony of Rhyno positive, and kept them in a completely different part of his facility and a not infected part of them. And I don't know if he eventually kind of cohabbed them because they can't pass it if they're not showing symptoms. Think of it like a really bad version of just a respiratory infection, because it's effectively that is what it is. So let me try and find it though. I'm stammering on here. Rhinovirus. Trying to find it. So yeah, it's just look at pack racks. That's how he did it. So you can kind of find him right here. He had a whole thing, and I think he did eventually euthanize some stuff. But that kind of makes sense if they can't. You can kind of see here is better. He thought it was better than expected, but I highly recommend looking at that if you wanted to learn about it. So I don't know if it's a type of that or not. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that without YouTube destroying me. Believe it or not, even saying the word sometimes, for some reason, they'll freak out about it. They were like demonetizing people about saying that word, which I think is absolutely ludicrous and wrong. But it is the truth. But you kind of get what I'm saying. The thing that caused the pandemic, right? I think it might be a type of that. But I'm not positive on that. I'm not at all. So Sorry, we're letting a cat in the room that's meowing. But it's to be taken seriously. You should, if you're doing shows, you should stop until you get it under control. And quarantining is the best way to do that, and waiting. And you'll be waiting for a while because the symptoms can take a bit. I think a month or two, maybe even longer to show in some cases. However, it is not as bad while being probably the worst thing that can happen. It's, we were devastated this week. I'm sorry. Very sorry to hear that. Honestly, my best advice is, try to play defense, prevent defense. And sadly, I am very all about trying to let you see snakes when I go to shows and whatnot. And before the beginning of this year, I was like, whatever you want to see, man, I don't care. It's cool. Just put a pump or two of this on your hands and you're good to go. Unfortunately, I've lowered it to just a couple snakes that I have in a completely different room now that I let people hold, unless you're a very serious buyer at a show. And I hate doing that. I really, really do. I am very much about the educational part and putting a snake in, especially kids' hands or in people's hands that were scared of snakes, and watching that fear melt away from them. It's one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. I go to a show and sell nothing if I do that, and I watch somebody overcome their fear, or a little kid is kind of just like not scared of this thing, and just I think that's the best part, if that makes sense, that I can possibly do. But now I've just got to do it with my two snakes that I have in a different room that aren't breeders. There are pet snakes, and while I'm very, very careful, everybody has to lather their hands. If they were to get sick, which would be devastating as heck to me, they would be in a completely separate room, so they wouldn't hurt what I'm doing. So I also recommend you do the same, and I hate saying that, but if you do shows, I don't recommend you let people hold them, and it's not because the people have it, but they held another snake just a little bit ago that might have had it, and then maybe they held another snake, and then that's how it spreads. So yeah, obviously bringing in snakes when you buy them, you're always taking a risk when you buy a snake. Sometimes you can stake someone's reputation on it, right? Their reputation is so big that it's like, for them to sell a snake like that would be foolish of them. And sometimes, honestly, like, some people think it's malicious when you get something. It's often not. They probably didn't know if you got it from another person. I'll be honest with you. It's a decent chance that they didn't know. Not always, sadly, but there's a good chance that they had no idea. But that's terrible. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. So, yeah, if you have a big collection, start quarantining immediately. Everything. And remember, it doesn't need to look. It doesn't need to look pretty. Putting the cheapest way to do this would be putting them in tubs you got from a local hardware store, Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot, something like that. I don't know if Menards are near everybody. I don't think they are. They're near us though. But buy one of those that lock on all four sides.
It's a Midwest thing.
It's a Midwest thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, and get some heat pads, some cheaper heat pads, and some cheaper thermostats. You can even double them up, so you use a thermostat on multiple things, and just quarantine them. Keep them away from the ones that don't show symptoms, and then and make sure as you're cleaning that you're very, very, very careful to clean yourself. And it's time consuming, but the second you make a mistake is the second it happens. So each time, lather your hands up. And move on to a new snake, and you're cleaning them. Try to keep touching them to a minimum. So, but yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. So yeah, for now, just shut it down. And I don't think there should be a stigma about being honest in this business. I think that's stupid, and then people wonder why people try to hide things. So I know if F10 kills Rhyno. It's obviously it's not going to cure the snake if you give him like the F10, breathing thing, but it couldn't hurt. But I don't want to speak out of ignorance and say it does. I'm trying to remember if it does. I use that myself. It's the veterinarian type spray, so I do recommend it. But I don't know about that. Surfaces, yeah, I just use it for that sort of stuff. It's a respiratory type thing, so that's how it's gonna spread. And you know, a lot of people think that it is some super airborne thing, which technically sure, but it's more or less gonna spread because you touch a snake and it has it, and get some of that on you, and then you go to another snake. So it's very important that you have very proper and nearly what's the word I'm trying to use, perfectionist type cleansing routines in between each snake. So but yeah, just quarantine them, keep them apart, and once you know which ones have it, then you kind of have a decision to make. Whether you once they beat it, they will forever be a carrier, but my understanding is that they won't come, it won't show itself again. But again, I'm no absolute expert on that sort of stuff. Just keep everything as clean as possible and animals separated. And then, as you get another one, quarantine again. Anything that's been in there, you kind of almost have to have a 3 quarantine type system. Positive, Nido possible, and clean. That's kind of how you kind of got to go about it. Yeah. So the best of luck to you. Definitely keep them separate and as far away as you can, from each other. More or less just for your own thought process, so that if you're touching stuff, that you don't go back to them. If you keep all the positive ones in a different room, it creates more of a brain barrier, so to speak. To make sure that you are cleaning yourself off before going into another area. So, and of course, yeah, anytime try to be helpful as possible as always. So, all right, that got a little deep, but it needed to be. So, next up would be this Pinstripe Monsoon. This one does have a reserve price. Definitely, definitely makes sense, right? I mean, these things still go for like 8,000 usually, but sometimes you can get them for cheaper. I mean, I saw one on Palm Street, go on auction. I'm not going to say by how much. If you were there, you were there though. But it was still in the thousands, quite quite about, quite a bit expensive. Let's just say that still. But maybe the reserve price. I remember we had someone on the channel that had one in this auction, and I saw it sell, and the reserve price I think was 3,000 or 4,000, and it sold. So kind of consider that. But Monsoon is a really, 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 really good recessive gene, and it's going to always be really powerful. Ironically, Pinstripe and Monsoon, and that's what this is, they both kind of do similar-ish things, and they, I don't know why this thing won't let me click on it today. I can't click on the pictures. I have to click, like, here. And there. But it's very potent. It's very obvious that you have it. So together, I'm not even sure if I'm a biggest fan of it, but it doesn't really matter. It's the genetics underneath that count. So Monsoon creates all these crazy little dots that look like raindrops, right? Probably where it gets its name. Very, very nice. And Pinstripe kind of creates pins, so I feel like they kind of compete and kind of relieve a bit of that stuff on the top, but not as much. But being a male that would be able to breed, it's very good chance that you get this cheaper if that's what you kind of wanted to do. So looks like you're waiting a little while to get this one, and actually they're offering it into a payment plan. So you kind of pay 25% of whatever it ends, and then kind of go from there. So, like I said earlier, if you wanted to bid on something like that, you kind of bid it to where you're comfortable, and then just stop it, because if you don't meet the reserve price, the auction ends, it's null and void. So, alrighty, let's see. What causes reabsorption of eggs? I paired my cinnamon female, 5 years old, to a sugar yellow belly male. Well, if they do reabsorb their eggs, I can't say that word. I don't know why. It's just kind of something that they really decide to do. Maybe they didn't have enough pairings. Maybe the male didn't essentially get the job done. But sometimes it's just it does just kind of happen. I have had it happen. I mean, obviously with how much I'm breeding, a few times here and there. But it does happen, and it always kind of stinks, right? But there could be a lot of different reasons. Maybe the female just, it could be a health related thing, that they just didn't feel like they had the gas, so to speak. I guess that's the proper analogy I could use to get to the point where they, they felt like they could, safely lay eggs or whatnot. So usually it's because the male did not get the job done, though, is what I'd say. So I don't know if you saw any locks or anything like that. Sometimes it could just be, it's not the right time either. Maybe she wasn't building at that time. But I wouldn't fret too much. Like I said, it's happened to me a few times. It just happens. So, and sometimes they trick you and you think they reabsorbed, and then they didn't. In fact, usually the time where I kind of tell my brother, like, she's reabsorbed, I'm not getting anything from this. Kind of stinks. And then the next day I get eggs. So maybe now that you said that, you're gonna have eggs tomorrow. I hope that luck hits you. So, but yeah, it can be many different things, and usually it's just kind of just the luck of the draw. The male just didn't get the job done is usually what it is. So, once she ovulates though, that's usually that. So, and it's not the eggs, it's the follicles really. Before they they kind of cross a threshold. At some point, you're getting eggs. Whether they're slugs or not, kind of depends. But all right, moving right into this pastel lace. Desert Ghost Clown, also a reserve price because of everything going on here. It's a double recessive and it has lace. From the same breeder. It's notable to mention that they have free shipping, by the way. Maybe that helps a little bit. So, the potential here is crazy. This is a girl, so you'd be able to breed a lot of different males into this, but there's there's a whole bunch of different areas my mind kind of goes in terms of where you could take this. But lace and desert ghosts are kind of similar-ish in that they enhance and clean up an animal and whatnot. But you can kind of see the brightness on this. The lace itself normally by itself is very subtle, but you can kind of see it moving up there. It has like the flaming lights kind of coming up the side and stuff like that. So very nice, beautiful looking animal there. I have no idea what that reserve price is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a good amount, but again, same thing goes. Kind of bid up to where you think you're comfortable and leave it there. And if someone else wants to run with that baton, so be it. So haven't seen any locks yet, so that seems most likely. That could be, and like I said, I've had ones where I didn't see any locks and then had eggs anyway. I mean, sometimes they don't need very much time. They're the boys are Minutemen, so to speak, and they just get done, and they're done, and you don't see them, And some of the other ones, they spend a bit of time. So, some ways you can try to get the boy to go. There's several different ways. I think we made a whole video about that, right? I think so. I think we made a video about how to try to get your males to breed. But some of the ways is put another male shed in there. I have heard, and I've never done this though, that literally putting them in your like a hoodie or something like that, put them in a bag and put them in a hoodie and take them for a ride and then go shopping at Walmart. Leaving them in the bag and the hoodie so that nobody sees them, and then when they get home they're like somehow like raring to go. I've heard that like from big time breeders. That I've heard from people like Jim at Southwest Wisconsin Reptiles. He's the one that told me that originally, and he knows what he's talking about, so I believe him. But another way would be to kind of try to pop the male, not the full way, but they'll usually produce sperm plugs, and this sounds gross, and I guess it is, but then you just kind of rub that on their back, on the female's back, and then put the male you actually want, not, in there. So you do it to a different male. And then they scent based will go by that. And then finally, another way to do it, which you kind of need to supervise a little bit, would be to put two males together. So two separate males, like one that is like a stud, that will breed pretty much everything. Put that with the male you want to breed in the same tub, and wait. Probably no more than 10 minutes, but be there present the entire time. Not that they really kill each other, but they will eventually wrestle. You'll hear a poof, because the one of the snakes will slam their body. They're trying to chase them off, right? In the wild, they just leave. But, there you just want to make sure that, nothing really stupid happens. It's not going to kill them or anything like that, but you still want to be there, because as soon as you hear that thud or about 10 minutes goes by, take that male you want out and put it with the female. And usually that creates that testosterone. So I don't think it's literally that, but, kind of gets the juices flowing, so to speak. So, alrighty. Next up, moving on to this hurricane clown. And hurricane clowns are really awesome. This one also went up not too long before the auction started. Also at pretty much what they wanted at the reserve price, I'm sure. Like I said, hurricane clowns are really cool. I wish this showed a different picture, like a secondary picture of the face, but that's okay. I'll show you a hurricane clown here in a little bit, because the the face is it almost like it brings back the eye stripes. This is a clown. It's clear as day. But here, I'll show you. See? That's like a hurricane clown. See how the eye stripe is kind of sort of back, but it looks weird, right? It's wavy. Because it's not really an eye stripe. It's part of the pattern now. You can see it here too, just kind of on there. So, and it kind of goes to the back of the head. So it's an absolutely incredible animal. This is a hurricane special clown. So that's literally what you see right here with special. That's it. Absolutely incredible, and a good steal for anybody that wants to grab that and get into the hurricane clown. I'm hoping I start seeing these more, well represented in terms of where people are going with that. Because they're very nice. I like them quite a bit, but I can definitely see this one going. It should go for 400. For Christ's sakes, but it's got a whiles, no doubt. So you get a bit of time if this is something you wanted to think about. And, a lot of people can't ship around this time of year either. So, it's sitting there with them, getting fed while in the meantime. So, and you're very welcome, Tremaine. Randall, I didn't know Palm Street did reptiles. I didn't even know Palm Street was a thing until I went to it was a couple shows ago, I think. And the guy with Cardos Coils is a good friend of mine. He's the one that told me about it, and so I didn't download it right away. There was an auction that night I missed, and but then I eventually did, and yeah, it's really cool. Honestly, it's a cool it's like what we're doing right now, but you're selling snakes at the same time. Sometimes they just end. It's very different. It's more like a quicker type auction. Like they're just boom done. You do giveaways. Honestly, it's very addicting. It's cool. I like just tuning in and watching, and maybe sometimes I'll throw a bid here and there and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I won one from there. We plan to do a full. I kind of plan to do a full video on it. I've collected some footage of some stuff, auctions and whatnot. I'm hoping to do one here soon. So, wife is addicted to buying plants on there. I saw that a lot. There's a ton of plants. So I tried to explore a few other things too, see what else they do. Obviously, geckos are now on there. But I'm trying to find anything else I might kind of like and whatnot. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm impressed. Let's just say that. Hey there, Hargergen. Rage Games. I don't know if you've seen the Hurricane Carnage Clown. It looks fire. Hurricane is an amazing gene. Not sure if I have. was actually just talking to somebody about that gene, the Carnage. Anyways, Carnage, clown. Come on. So yeah, what we were talking about was that it's the same thing as Nanny. And that was earlier this week, wasn't it? It was last week. I don't remember anymore. All my days just go together. So I got one from Brad Boa here, Hurricane Carnage clown. So it's pretty sharp. Those darks are kind of almost giving me like purpley hues. Okay, we're just gonna blow this picture up. Yep. Brad Boa is amazing, by the way. Some of the most beautiful stuff. So, yeah, this is kind of a sheeny type, almost giving some subtle hints of like purplish in a way. Not like clearly not actually purple, but I don't know. It's different. I like it a lot. It's just got like a sheen to it too. But yeah, Carnage and Nanny are the same thing, I guess. So but that's what we were talking about. I don't work it, so I didn't. He was just telling me, it's like, yeah, it's the same. So I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So, but yeah, very, very cool. But yeah, Hurricane Clown, just before I move on, definitely well worth it. This would be a very cool project to get into. Maybe get yourself a Nanny or a Carnage boy to put it to, and you can create what we just showed you. All right, moving right along to this Yellow Belly puzzle, and I believe it's the same breeder. So again, whenever you have the same breeder, you do have the opportunity to buy multiple things and combine the shipping. So just saying. But puzzle is amazing. I really like that genetic. I'm planning to expand on it now that I got my double hets for Monarch out of it. Now I kind of just want to move forward with making the puzzles, right? So there's a few of them. I was thinking about a banana that I had. I have a banana puzzle here, boy, but honestly, I'm thinking of there's a potential. That's who we were actually talking to, somebody about like potentially seeing if it made sense for us to do collaborations and stuff like that. So there's a few different things we might do, but I really like the puzzle gene a lot. So but yeah, puzzle will be a good one. This is a good female right at the bat. You can kind of see what puzzle does to the sides, and that's where it got its nickname. Whatever. I'm sticking with it. That's where it got its nickname from. Is that they kind of look like little puzzle pieces and whatnot. And the Yellow Belly just really works well with it, because puzzle in my mind brightens things up and kind of cleans it up pretty nice. But the puzzle, look at that. It's like fire coming up from like underneath, like embers of fire, kind of on there. Doesn't it look like that? It's pretty nice. Look at that perfectly symmetrical little snake here, right there. Look at that. Very good pose. I'm just enamored with the picture right now. Wouldn't you say you're the picture guy? Is that a good picture? I think it's a great picture. I would have liked like more angles, but
give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, heck, you're so picky. Whatever. I like this. Look, the perfect like little egg in the middle. I can't not focus on anything but that now. Anyways, it's beautiful. Puzzle's really cool. I like I said, I can't get over how much it does. People, have said for a while that puzzle is the new clown. I think clown is gonna stay the new clown for quite some time, because anytime there's a genetic out there, everyone's like, I can't wait to see it with clown. And that's how you got staying power. So, but puzzle itself is, in my opinion, one of the big boys on the block. Still has a lot that needs to be done with it, in my opinion, and it's really gorgeous on what it does. Very visual animal. And like I said, you can do things with the pattern still, and colors as well. So lots of cool stuff you can do with this genetic. So Rage Games, I don't know, but I think Nanny, Trident, and Grim are all the same. Yeah, I hadn't heard about Trident and Grim maybe being the same as well, but there's a lot out there that could be. So, I mean, I'm in the Striker project, and Striker, Mackenzie, and even Zebra, Het Zebra, I should say, they do the same thing, right? I don't know, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But they are very similar, and the hets for zebra look very similar to the striker, and they're very cool. It's a very visual one. And the supers are absolutely to die for. They're so amazing, like zippers going down the back. It's so cool. But there's a lot of genetics out there that could be the same, and we got genetic testing now. RGI and whatnot, and we're gonna eventually, I'm sure, be able to put that together. But and I think you're gonna find a lot of allelic combos that they are different, but they're allelic. So basically, they're very, very similar. Barnhart Black Pastel ended up being that. Everybody thought it was a polygenic gene, including yours truly, and then found out that it's actually its own gene, but it's allelic with Black Pastel, so it acts the same. So it just looks different slightly. So very cool though. And we will move on. This is one of my favorite ones here. This is really gorgeous. So this is when I said we were going to talk about the Krakens. Because that is my last one. I should have grouped them together, but hey, whatever. This Wookiee Lesser Clown, they go so well together. So nice. Lesser sometimes can be a little potent. It's very gorgeous, but it works very well with this Wookiee here. Just enough that it looks like a toasted marshmallow at a campfire. That's immediately what I thought of. You got that toasting right on the top, but then you still got the whites there. Don't ask me what the yellows are, but they are pretty. Very, very cool animal. I'm going to learn and click on this thing here. So, close this window so I can actually see here. There we go. Yeah, this is an absolutely gorgeous girl. Or boy, I don't remember. We'll take a look at here in a second. So, I mean, there's so much beauty and potential here. Boy. So he would be able to breed to a lot of different things and getting a Wookiee gene in there. Wookiee's a really good one to get, especially when you're pairing it with Clown. Very, very, very good. So, actually intend to have a conversation with somebody all about Wookiee here soon. So, but yeah, talking about what Wookiee's potentials are, and you can't really think about looking any further than the Kraken. The Kraken itself is just one of the most gorgeous clowns you can get. It's right on par with the Pompeii. And some would even argue that it's better. I like them both equally, in my opinion. But it's named for these little like suction cups and whatnot that it has. So that it has on its side. Let me go back to it real quick, because they look like almost like the suction cups of the Kraken, of the mythological Kraken or an octopus or whatnot. So let me pause it right when it goes closer there. I'm no good at my pausing skills. So, but it's an absolutely gorgeous gene, and Wookiee is a key ingredient of that. So, absolutely gorgeous. So, I think we've got I think we only got the one more here, and it's actually the one I was going to talk about. So, the last one. So, alrighty. So, this is not an auction, if you don't notice. This is just kind of an inquire to buy. So you can kind of make an offer, or just kind of, say, hey, I'm interested, and you have some questions and whatnot about it. But it's an absolutely gorgeous animal. It's a blackhead Mojave calico, possible asphalt, lavender albino, het pied, and it also happens to be paradox too. And that paradox, I think, helps it just be super cool. You can kind of see it near the eyes there just a bit, get really dark, and of course near the back there you kind of have some pattern shooting over top of it. So why this is so good is the fact that this is obviously already set up to immediately go be plugged into a lot of dreamsicle type projects. Being a female this stacked, there's no end to the sort of things you can get with it. Let me click on it here. So nice picture here too. So yeah, you can set it. There's a few different areas of paradoxing actually. Right here, there's just the tail itself, the very tip of the tail. Right here on the upper part of its body, and then right near its face, you can say a little bit near its head, and then the eye stripe here is just pretty. It's like it suddenly decided, oh, I'm not albino or lavender albino anymore. So very, very cool animal here. So the other thing is the asphalt is potentially in there too. So you could, potentially, and you could send this in for a shed test. Send it into RGI; they'll do a shed test for you. You can determine that for sure, but you can immediately start making freeway dreamsicles. Now that's pretty sick. And on top of that, it's the Reptile Keeper line of asphalt. And until recently, I didn't know that that was its own thing too. So that could end up being an allelic, its own gene, or polygenic. I'm pretty sure it's its own thing. That's allelic. With the other form of asphalt, and it's different. It's like when you get that version of a freeway from them, it's like it turned it sideways. It's weird. It's crazy. It's super cool and unique too. And you're only gonna get it from that line. So, this one here actually is the other thing is it kind of goes to help out a good guy, or a good set of breeders here, and they're actually letting it go. It was a holdback because of how cool it is, because they just had the worst luck. And if you've ever had a puppy die on you, you know what a gut punch that is. So they had a bunch of medical care, and then it passed away anyways. And then their other dog almost immediately afterwards, almost like it's trying to, it's sad or something. I don't know. I've heard that they can get affected by the loss of another, but it started having seizures. So all of it would go to that, and you're getting a crazy good animal and helping somebody out that in the process. So I know that the price, it's not going to be for everybody, but this is very well worth it. So if you're in that sort of project, dreamsicle, looking at them, this would be a pretty cool one. That no doubt about it. So just some food for thought. So all right, before we go, I don't know if anybody had any last minute questions. A little bit of a quicker live this week. Just like I said, there's not, for one, coupled with as much stuff that there is with it being the holiday season, people are not selling as much stuff because they're not shipping as much stuff. So just something to consider. It's going to be a little bit possibly quicker videos unless everybody gets to talking. So Agrigrin, I knew that seller back in 1995. Had been a long time. Yeah, absolutely, it has been. So I was I think I was in grade school. But yeah, I didn't know they were around for that long, honestly. So learn something new every day. But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and call it there. As always, I really appreciate everybody joining. I think my brother sent the link. We do have a Discord open. I need to jump on there and chat. So you worked at the same reptile shop. That's cool. Small world. It's crazy to hear how many people worked at, kind of just, that's how they started off with stuff like that. So even like Snake Discovery, Emily there, she worked at a local PetSmart, to her anyways, not my local, but and just kind of I think there might even be old videos of her instilling that sort of what the employees wear. I could be wrong about that, but I know she said that she had worked at one. So many people just kind of started at reptile shops and such. We had a really good relationship with our local reptile shop, but unfortunately, it's a family-owned thing, and they just kind of decided to hang up their hats. Not that they weren't doing good. They just kind of decided to hang up their hats and call it a career, right? So hate to see them go. Happy that they're happy though. But yeah, I gotta find a new shop, so to speak. So still friends with a lot of them though. So, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it there. I hope everybody has a good one. We will catch you in the next one. Again, like I said, my brother sent the Discord link in the server. Go ahead and join there. Just kind of a good community. Help each other. I'll pop in there as well from time to time, Doc. So. What else was there? I thought there was something else, Johnny. Am I wrong?
I don't know anything else.
My brother doesn't recall anything else, so. Alright, I think
We
that...
mentioned something about Patreon last week, but we haven't set up anything for that. So
Yeah, we're going to work on a Patreon and discuss anyways to see how that might look. It won't change any content that I do. It just adds to it. So, but yeah, I think that just about settles it. So, hope everybody has a great night, and we will catch you in the next one. Night, everybody. Oh, hang on. One last thing before I seen that. Next team building video when? All right. Like a real one. And thank you, Arlo. You're the man.
I'd like to point out we
woman.
held Arlo's comment for being inappropriate.
Oh, thanks a lot, YouTube. YouTube's dumb. We said it earlier. How the heck did it hold that as being
I don't know.
Whatever. It's trying to censor the truth. I swear it's got it against me. No, I'm just kidding. So, Alfonso, we do those every now and again. Most of them are goofy just because it's a lot of fun. But I think I'll try like a realistic one. Like one that I'm actually like... Not that I'm not trying, clearly, in those challenge ones. But they're a little goofy, right? I mean, like, that's the point. It's supposed to be fun. But yeah, maybe we just build one just literally like, hey, I gotta make monarchs and stuff like that. And I set the rules for those ones, really, don't I? I think I did. The first one we ever did was a real one.
We've only ever done one, so...
Yeah, that was the clown. That was the one where I did the Batmans or something. I don't remember what I did. I got to look. But yeah, something like that where I'll set like a realistic one. Like, hey, you want to get into monarchs? You got this much money? Let's do it. Like that. I'll probably do something like that. But then we will still do the goofy ones because, quite frankly, they are not difficult at all to film, and I have a lot of fun doing them. As you can tell by the fact that I yell in them. Sometimes when I yell, it's actually because I'm that's just kind of. I mean, I come from like a gaming type background, so I yell when I have fun at like games and stuff. So yeah, if I'm yelling in those videos, I'm actually having a whole lot of fun on those videos. They are a blast. So yeah. So yeah, Johnny, you gonna tell them what the challenge will be? What's the challenge next time?
I don't know.
Okay.
To be honest, I usually come up with those 5 minutes before. So
Okay. Here you go. Maybe that'll be the challenge. You got 5 minutes. Alrighty, everybody. You all have a great night, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.